All right, let's get started. So joining me today as well is going to be Lee Butke, who is our managing director of our vCISO practice. Lee will join us a little bit later in the presentation. So he's not being shy. He's not being stealthy. He's there. You can see his name. He'll join us here in a little bit to add a little bit of a component that we're also adding into our product mix. But for those of you on this call, our customers, partners, really appreciate you taking some time. Hopefully you took advantage of the lunch we provided. And if you have any questions on that, I absolutely cannot help you with that. But I think our marketing team and Jillian had sent those to you guys. So if you have any questions or need something to be sent to you, please contact Jillian. You can contact me as well, but obviously I won't answer it until we're done today. But we're happy to send you the voucher anyway. So today we're going to be talking about our Q3 and Q4 roadmap. When we talk about Q3, we talk about the second half of the year. We know some people have different fiscals, but this would be July on. And we just wrapped up, obviously, our Q2, or will over the next couple of days. It's amazing that 2023 is halfway gone. What a blur. But we have created some excellent features and foundations for what we're going to be talking about today and what we're going to be launching over the next few weeks and then over the next few months. So let's get started with that. And again, any questions you have ahead of time, feel free to submit them. We have some people who have, or as questions come up, please feel free to send them that way. But, you know, at the end of the day, when you think about AgileBlue and what our job is for you, our job is to be your 24/7 cybersecurity team. Our job is to make sure we can not only identify, but we can escalate. And for those customers that want us to respond to a potential cyber event. And, you know, more than ever, cyber events are getting more sophisticated, more intense. It's coming off of using signatures-based things into machine learning and now into AI as AI has proliferated. No matter what you turn on, no matter if you look online, you're reading something, Wall Street Journal, to any type of news outlet, to ESPN, it doesn't matter. Everybody's talking about AI. Some people aren't being genuine about it, and a lot of people are. And as we think about how we detect and how we can better keep our clients not only protected, because sometimes you can't stop everything, but you can mitigate risk. And the best way to mitigate risk is through automation, is through intelligence. And that's what we're building into AgileBlue as we move forward. We presented this to all of our customers at the beginning of the year, and we'll do the same thing here. In December of this year, we'll tell you what we're going to be working on for 2024. But the key to this roadmap really was a theme of SOAR. And there's lots of acronyms out there. Gartner loves putting these acronyms out. But when you look at orchestration and auto response, really what SOAR is all about, it comes down to intelligence, right? You have to be able to understand. You have to be able to detect with a very high degree of confidence what you're looking at. And then again, in an automated fashion, how do we respond to it? And juxtapose that where clients want us to automatically respond to some things. Majority of clients, overwhelming majority, still want that manual touch, aren't ready for pure automation, and that's fine. And that is absolutely fine. And we agree. We want to be there for that manual touch, and we are there for that manual touch. But just know you're working with an organization that is building automated tools based on intelligence, because I think we're going to get there as you get into Q4, or definitely get into Q1 of 2024. You're going to see more clients wanting to update playbooks into some automated response things. So when you look at the totality of our roadmap for this year, it's really around automation, it's really around intelligence, and that automated response. And as we just wrapped up Q2, we'll roll into Q3 here, and it's all about what we're going to be talking about, the big components today. And by the way, as we love our clients, we obsess over our clients and partners. Anything you guys want, if there's something that hits your head of a great idea, share it with us. The odds of it getting into the roadmap, unless it's extraordinarily myopic on the way that you're looking at things, which we're still happy to look at, a lot of our client requests make it into our build. So please keep that in mind. Earlier this year, our amazing marketing team headed by Jillian, a lot of you have had a chance to meet with Jillian over the years, came out with a name for our agent, and we call it Cerulean. It sounds very Star Wars-ish. I know I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but it does sound like, Lando Carillion or Cerulean, somewhere along those lines. It doesn't have any connotation with that at all. But what we've done with our agent now is give it much more intelligence and the ability to not only monitor endpoints, but also network traffic as well, to really reduce the footprint and the resources we need to be a tremendous partner to you, right? So no matter what you guys look like, no matter what we're monitoring for you, no matter what your architecture is, hybrid or on-prem or cloud or whatever it might be, multi-cloud, we're still collecting that data via our Cerulean agent, and then for cloud and applications, APIs. The big difference that we're building in now is that far right autonomous agent and response. The goal with our platform is constantly to automate as much as we can. We all know the best way to mitigate cyber risk, and it's probably starting to get to the best way to mitigate cyber risk is speed, right? I think a lot of us that are in this space know what we're looking for, can detect using great tools to detect anomalous behavior. The key is how fast can we continue to move? How fast can we continue to move where technology and people complement each other? It's not great tech slowed down by people, or all tech that we don't know if we can 100% just trust, right? We want that human element, and that's what you guys want as our customers, and that's what we love providing for you. But to be able to develop our own SOAR within our platform, there's other SOARs out there that are excellent, and lots of platforms have integrated with it, but they've had to integrate with it. By us developing this ourselves, we're able to control the technology. We're able to let this technology work for our clients. We're able to do what we need to do for it. And by the way, there's only one finger to point, or one back to slap, or I guess one throat to choke at the end of the day. But our integrated platform is on us to not only maintain and innovate and grow, but it's easier to support, right? When we're not just bringing together 6, 7, 8 different integrations. Plus for you, the clients, we've now reduced that vendor sprawl. You're working with AgileBlue for all of this, your SIM, your SOC, your managed EDR and XDR, and now SOAR. And this is what we're able to bring together in one platform for you. So when you think about SOAR, we identified it, we talked, I guess we defined it as a better way to look at it, but it really can break down into a couple of areas. And this is where we focused our roadmap in 2023. And I'm sure you're going to see us take a big component of this and really accelerate this as we get into 2024. But when you think about SOAR and the orchestration and around the automated response, it begins with threat and vulnerability management, right? Understanding those threats. We've been able to integrate additional threat providers and intelligence into the platform, which obviously helps us complement the data we're receiving, right? Then if you can put that together with an incident response that currently is automated, right? The ability to do something, to respond before just escalating it to a client to do something. That's important. And it's a manual process, and that's what the clients want now. But where can we automate it? And by the way, when we do have the ability to automate it, we're still going to provide that manual touch because not everybody's ready. Not everybody wants it. But just know with AgileBlue, you have both options. It's not like it's one or the other. And it will always remain both options. And then the ability to automate more security operations from our centers. This could be faster, quicker responses to you. This could be around implementation, installation, troubleshooting. It could be just answering a general question you have. The ability to add more automation, which we'll talk about here in a second, gives us the ability to service you better and give you what you need to feel really solid about working with AgileBlue. I look at, when I think back and I think about real-time intelligence and how humans play a part in that, it can't just be all machines, right? And I like to say, when you think about a SOC, right? A SOC has multiple components to it. There's a SIM, there's your XDR or EDR of how you're actioning something, and then there's maybe the orchestration and response part. Each of them has a goal, so to speak, before, unfortunately, if there is during, and then after, a potential attack, right? But when you think about how we break it down and how we look at it as ways where each of these components need to work seamlessly together, which they do in AgileBlue's platform. but they need to work in very specific ways, in very specific phases of a potential attack. During an attack, we got to make sure we're not only collecting the data, but we have the ability, our team, even yours, however we're set up, we work many ways for our clients, that we understand that root cause analysis, and then we can action item on it. What are we doing? What streamlined incident resolution can we take? Where can we automate workflows? Where can we get to that next level? After an attack, how do we make sure we're protected? How do we make sure we've cleaned up those gaps and vulnerabilities? And then what are those incident response protocols we've put together? This is the way that we view things. And for us to be one step ahead of the bad guys, for us to make sure that when you're working with us, you have confidence in what we're doing, we're constantly putting together this flow, these playbooks with you to make sure not only our technology is adhering to those, but more importantly, our people and our process. So let's dive a little bit deeper into AI, which is, the big buzzword everywhere, and machine learning, right? Our platform in the past is really relied on great machine learning. And as we define things, because I think that's important to define, machine learning focuses very strictly on the ability of machines and data interacting and to learn. Obviously, as the data is being more consumed and the behaviors are being more understood, normal behaviors, anomalous behaviors, updates to that algorithm and what it's looking for and how it's operating, right? That's machine learning. We've been using it for number of years, and it's been great for all of us. Now, as AI has proliferated over, AI's been around for a while. We all know that. It's gotten popular over the last 6 months or so, really buoyed by ChatGPT and some of the things that you've seen all over the news. And there's a couple different types of AI, right? When you think about AI in general as a technology, that's that cognitive ability to grow, to carry out tasks, right? Based on algorithms. And obviously, as AI consumes more data from an insane amount of resources, it has the ability to put a high confidence in what it's seeing and the ability to then decision and respond to things. That's where that intelligence really takes off from maybe just machine learning back things. And this is where, when you look at what we've added in our Q3 release, this is what you see the foundation for, and we'll continue to build on it as we get into the rest of this year. And then when you think about Q4 a little bit later, you think about more generative AI. This is the AI you've seen when you've played around with ChatGPT or Bard, which I think Google has done an excellent job with Bard as well, where generative AI not only learns from all that data, all those patterns that it's picking up, but it's picking up data from everywhere. When we think about us, it could be internal data, external data, supplementing, anywhere and everywhere. And really for our clients, it can become that first and second level of analysis that's moving fast, right? It's understanding what it's seeing. It's able to, get out an escalation. It's able to recommend an actual action, whether it's being taken automated in an automated fashion, or maybe there's a manual person, whether that's the client or us doing something. And really bringing to light a speed that allows us to really stay on top of what we're seeing from the bad guys. And we think at the end of the day, this provides not just quicker answers and support, but escalations and response activities that's going to allow us to move fast, to decision fast, and more importantly for you to mitigate those threats. Currently when you log into the AgileBlue portal, you see that little online chat support icon that our team will talk back and forth with you. This is where we're going to be developing more of these generative AI type of capabilities with you to assist in these level 1, level 2 analysis and support issues. And these are things we're going to be rolling out throughout the year. We don't just believe in, just at the end of the quarter or year or whatever month, blasting things out. As we develop them, as we test them extraordinarily thoroughly, I might add, we will be releasing these things, just like we've released things throughout Q2, and we'll have a big launch here in a couple of weeks or so that I'll mention. So by year end, at the end of 2023, over the next 6 months, we look at the word autonomous, and that word can be thrown around a lot. But when you think about an autonomous agent, right, those are the agents that are trained and have the capabilities with a high degree of confidence that if a client doesn't need it, doesn't want it, doesn't need that SOC analyst to escalate or respond. The technology can make that decision and move forward as long as the playbooks, with a high degree of confidence, say we can, right? That reinforcement machine learning really trains the agents, which obviously our team can use in a human response as well. But because those agents are so trained, because we're so confident in the scoring of what we're seeing, we can reduce human interaction where we can. Those decisions can be made by technology with a high confidence score and then execute a response. And by the way, even if a response is executed in an automatic fashion, it will always be followed up by a human being. A human being will always be assigned to the case. And we will always be there to answer questions and walk you through it. Our job is not just to become one big technology that works. Our job is to have great technology that we're constantly innovating, but backing that up by a 24/7 team that is always there to do whatever it takes to make sure you are being protected. I think a question that we get a lot from clients is, okay, that's great. We see the technology, we see where you're going. Why? Why do we need X or Y or Z? Doesn't mean they don't want it. It's just we're trying to understand more about it. So let's talk about where this automated intelligence and more automated actions around response, where it actually helps, right? It's not just about becoming more efficient as an organization, but where it actually helps. So obviously the ability to excel root cause analysis, automation, and response. It's what I've been talking about for the last, 15 minutes. But if we're able to also drive consistent and deeper investigations every time, right? In the same manner, following a great process driven by technology that allows us to follow a plan from start to finish, that is where those deeper investigations get better. That's where that confidence scoring gets better. Over the years, and when you're in the SOC world, you hear about, mean time to detection, mean time to respond. People always want to see numbers and minutes and seconds of, how long it took. But these are real things, right? Mean time to dwell and detect and respond all means something, right? The faster you move, the data shows you could mitigate risk, even if it's just mitigating something down to an endpoint. The faster we can detect obviously gives us the ability to respond both manually and in an automated fashion. But if we can drive those times down, both of those times down, the detection, the response times down, we're putting our customers in a much better position to win every single time. And if there is something that happens, and if we can mitigate that attack or mitigate that, whatever it might be, down to something and make sure it doesn't spread, make sure there's no lateral movement, make sure it doesn't get to our backups or data, we've now put ourselves in a tremendous position of layered security that helps us win every single time. Also, when you think about AI, what about the ability to adapt on the fly during an attack? And, these are things that are still being worked out. At the end of the day, everybody's always got, just read the news today. If you go to your favorite thing on cybersecurity and this guy just launched this and these people just launched this and they're doing this now. Sure, I'm sure they are. Probably great thought. How much of it is actually in implementation? I'm sure it's little by little stepped up. But you're seeing more cyber attacks adapt, be dynamic to what they're encountering from a defensive perspective. We have to be able to do the same thing defensively. An incident response workflow that can adapt, right? So you're not just talking about a playbook that is dynamic as well, but a playbook that allows us to build workflows around both our tech and our people. When do we need to get people involved? Somebody once put this thing together. It was Gartner, and they said, the average SOC in a day brings in whatever, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of alerts, meaning you need X people to service these things. Well, it's impossible without technology. Same thing with a workflow. That workflow needs to expand and be dynamic. And then finally, if the bad guys are going to use AI, we need to be using AI. You need AI to defeat AI. You need machines to defeat machines. It can't be a machine versus a person, because I think we all know how that's probably going to end up at the end of the day. This is the why. This is the way we look at our roadmap. These are the goals that we're looking to solve. And as we roll out technology, this is what you guys will see. So when we launch our platform, probably over the next few weeks, actually one question did come in, well, a bunch of them did, but one of the questions was when in Q3 will we be launching this? I just saw one of the other questions asking if Lando was a traitor. Again, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I believe that was Billy D. Williams, but he redeemed himself, I think, didn't he? So maybe he was a traitor, but I think he kind of redeemed himself. So maybe he was kind of cool at the end. I don't know. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask, but at the end of the day, hopefully that answered that question. We should be launching this over the next couple of weeks. So when we do an end of a quarter build, it's obviously already gone through testing. We'll do some beta stuff on it as well. And then we'll start launching it to our clusters. We have many of them where our customers live. We'll start launching those over the next couple of weeks. Tim Moody and his amazing team in our customer success group, they'll reach out. They'll do a different training, a different rollout, probably try to tie this into your month-end reviews. And then for folks who want to move faster, be on the lookout for emails from Tim and his team, and we'll roll this out. But when you look at what we've done, we want to increase space because there's more to comprehend. You know, I always tell people, I just had a demo the other day and a client said, you guys have a great interface, one of the best interfaces I've ever seen. I said, I appreciate you saying that. And we put a lot of work into our interface. And we think we do a great job from a user experience. But if a customer never, ever in the history of the world wanted to log into our portal, we would not be offended, right? We think you found a great partner working with AgileBlue. You pay us every single month. Well, you should be paying us every month, but you pay us every single month. You don't ever have to log into here. When something goes wrong, if something changes, our team's proactive to reach out to you. But we build you this technology. So if you want to be self-sufficient, if you want to see this data, if you want to see what's happening, it's always available for you. We believe in two things. It's pure visibility, and you deserve that, number one. Number two, this is your data. You own it. It's not ours. This is your stuff, right? We're just here to make it work. So we've increased our user experience screens. We now have an investigation status window, what should be looked at, what needs to be actionable. So you log in and you see thousands or hundreds of things. Well, your mind goes numb. I don't know what to look at first. Boom, what's actionable? What's malicious? What is something that's either assigned to me or to AgileBlue that we're working through? And that's where you want to be, right? That's the quick hitting stuff. Probably followed up by the security scores, both the external scans that we do through Security Scorecard that you obviously have access to, and our internal risk scoring that's taken into account everything from an internalized perspective, including best practices you're employing or maybe the ones you're not doing that you probably should be doing. These are things we'll go over with you during your monthly meetings as well. But we move the navigation off to left to give you more exposure to the things that need to be actioned right now. Next, when you think about the screens that we've laid out, it's really important to understand how we can put these cases together, right? Because when you think about correlating data, when you think about building a case on something, it's not just one piece of data, there's multiple pieces of data, right? So when you think about analysts working through a case, every single thing they're going to be doing is going to be notated in the activity log, which will continue to grow because that will help us also correlate that data. When you look at the alert list, here's the alert. Right? Here's the source. This is the problem. This is the firewall, server, the endpoint. I don't know, maybe it's a cloud. Maybe there's something with 365. Here's the activity that we've discovered that's anomalous that we need to make an action on. And then you'll see a bigger draw. We have the ability now to respond right on the interface, single click of a button to respond. I'll show you that in a second. And then, like I said, for clients who want to move into more automation, once the system has a good confidence score that it feels confident in, it's going to go ahead and make that response and get the emails out to the proper parties, meaning the customer based on the playbook, and obviously someone on our analyst team who's then going to take over and start communicating with the client. We love automation. Automation is going to be great, but it has to have that human touch because we all know cybersecurity is backed by both humans and technology. And then, of course, that playbook that I mentioned, and especially as we get into later in the Q3 and the Q4, the launching of those dynamic playbooks that can adapt to what we're seeing. Those are going to become available. And then obviously the contacts and the notes that we're working with their clients. So a different screen to bring in more data into response. And when we talk about response, we talk about different things we might want to be pursuing. And these are just a couple examples. I'm sure there's going to be more, there always is. But when you think about isolating a device, right? That's that speed to move. If we can take a device that's maybe come across ransomware or malware or something that's happened on that device, whatever it might be, if we can isolate that quickly, we've stopped that lateral movement. We've created, whoever got to that thing has got that. That's not that much because we've locked everything else up for them. Okay. And that is something that we can move on fast. Again, human being wise, or in an automated fashion once we put that technology out. The next could be disabling a Office 365 user, right? You think about Office 365 as a huge attack surface. Maybe this even rolls into Active Directory. However, we're thinking through this with you, but the ability for not only obviously in a manual fashion to disable this, but again, in an automated fashion, once we feel we have a high confidence. And look, we understand, we were meeting with a great client about a week or so ago. And, these are very progressive people, very smart people. And, they're like, hey, we love where this is going. We gave them a little sneak peek, but they're like, I don't think we're ready for just automation just yet. Like, we just don't want things being shut down, moved around, blah, blah, blah. And we said we would never do that, right? We would never do that. We want to have that technology. We want to have that offering. But your human element is number one. And for these folks, it probably will be for some time. But it's great to hear that because everybody's thinking through, we need to have the tech, but we're just not so certain we want to use every single component of it just yet, right? So disabling a user. It could also be blocking an IP address, right? Taking that IP, blocking it at the device level, making sure that whether from threat intelligence that we've received, whether from anomalous activity here, whatever it might be, that can be blocked as well. So the whole point to me showing you these three quick use cases, these are quick. These things can happen fast. Manual process fast, even faster in an automated process. Those three use cases do mitigate a lot of risk. There's going to be additional use cases that we're going to be adding as well. The way we look at it is you can't just do everything at once. We got to take steps. Otherwise, it could be too much to consume for our clients, too much to think through. So we're trying to simplify this. We think we have a good understanding of what works. We think we have a good understanding of what complicates things. So we're going to make suggestions. We're going to show you the pros and cons of everything. At the end of the day, we've always worked with you in a partnership fashion to make sure you know our capabilities. What do we want to use? What do we don't want to use? That grammar wasn't great there, but we'll skip that for now. And then also one other point to mention on our attack indicators. When you go to our attack indicators page, it's paginated, I know, but it's pretty darn big. I think it's important to understand when you look at what the NIST control is and how that might apply to the MITRE technique and which part of our detection engine is going to be able to obviously understand, detect, and with a high confidence score, raise this into an escalation, right? But these new screens, whether you played around with them or not, are very telling for our clients. The feedback we've gotten so far has been tremendous. And we're constantly adding more to this every single day of the week. This is run by a gentleman in our company named Andrew Carmelli. He's been with us from like day 3. He's an incredible resource on our team. And he continues to build out everything that we're doing from a monitoring and detection perspective. We always have people that say, what is it that you guys will find? And of course, a lot of people can just say, oh, ransomware or anomalous behavior. We like to break it down. We'll show you all 649 if you want. We'll show you how they relate to NIST and to MITRE, because understanding the genesis of those helps us obviously detect those, which is extraordinarily important. All right. Again, the questions are coming in, so we'll answer them here in a second. Okay, so let's talk about what Q3, Q4 are going to look like. Q3. So we'll do a release most likely in early August based off some Q3 work and more along that firewall or IP block based on the machine. Also, deeper security investigations to get clients that real-time answers and escalations. This is going to be more of the generative AI stuff that we talked about, where it's able to where our technology be able to consume all kinds of data we have and be able to help our clients faster with questions and answers, getting those escalations out quicker, all those types of things. Again, our goal is not just automation, but our goal is simply based around timing. The faster we move, the better for everyone. Also in Q4, and when we say Q4, again, there'll be some stuff we launched during those last 3 months of Q4, and then we'll do a bigger update at the end of Q4 going into early Q1. We don't do anything really around the holidays because everybody wants to, have some cake or cannolis. I'm Italian, we got to have cannolis. Whatever it is that you do, we want people to relax a little bit. We don't want to do a big push at the end of there. So going into early Q4, that second week of January is when we'll definitely do that push. But more threat hunting, it's going to allow our team to use more of these tools to make that process of threat hunting not only more efficient, but more effective. We all know the importance of threat hunting. Automated threat response via those dynamic playbooks, like I mentioned, client communications, which if a client is asking us a question, I'm not asking you got to go through our portal and use that little button. We're not going to force our clients to do anything. If a client wants to ask us something in email, we need to be able to ingest your email, and we need to be able to use that email, whether it's a response, whether it's an action, whatever it might be, updating a playbook, whatever it might be, but using that in the fashion you want to work with us. And it's amazing, no matter what tools you put out these days, Slack and, chat bots and all these things, clients still love working in email. So why fight it? More integration with Yara for enhanced malware research and detection, which we'll be implementing into our agent. And then we talked about that generative AI chatbot for level 1, level 2 support into our portal directly. That's going to consume the mass amounts of data that we have, again, for around one thing, and that's timing. That's to get answers, responses, and escalations in a faster manner. This is what our mid Q3 and into Q4 will look like for the rest of this year and how we're implementing our technology. Okay, before we go here, I just screwed up a slide, but let me just go back here. Let me answer a few questions, and then we're gonna use a few minutes then with Lee afterwards. So let's talk about question 1. When in Q3 okay, so somebody's asking specifically about our new agent. Again, we're going to launch this technology within the next couple of weeks. I see your question, Vishal. Give us it'll probably be within that time frame that'll be loaded as well. But I'll make sure Tim specifically communicates that to you so you have an exact answer on that. We already talked about Lando the traitor. I think I answered that question. David, can I block specific applications from AgileBlue? The answer to that, so if you're asking about the executable and things like that, or you asking about a cloud-based application. So when you think about an executable, those types of things, the answer is yes. And that's something you're going to see in our end of Q3 release. If you're asking about a SaaS application coming from specific IPs, we can talk through that, but that's definitely doable. But if you don't mind, David, maybe you can shoot us an email exactly with what you're asking there, and we'll answer it in 2 seconds for you. Okay, next question. When will you see the change to the UI dashboard? We talked about that. You're going to see that over the next couple of weeks. Again, we'll shoot out a date to all of our customers here within 2 weeks, and then Tim will start rolling it out to you guys with his team. And of course, anything you need to be trained on, we'll have all that ready to go for you at all. Okay, the next 2 questions have to revolve around something that we haven't spoke about yet. So why don't we do this? I'm going to introduce Lee Butke to our clients. Lee joined us from one of our great partners over the course of the last month or so. Lee works with us on a couple of our incredible customers as well. So it's not like Lee's new to AgileBlue. Actually, this is kind of like an old marriage here. We've been working together for a long time. I don't know. It's just kind of worked out, I guess. But Lee is now the managing director of our vCISO and our vCISO, but of our vCISO practice, and how our vCISO practice ties into our platform, how it utilizes our technology. It's just not some service that anybody can offer. It's tied into technology. So I'm going to give the floor to Lee, and then we'll ask her a couple of questions that folks have on the vCISO side.
Thank you, Tony, for that introduction. So a little bit of background on me. I've got over 20 years of cybersecurity experience. The last 5 years, I've been operating a vCISO practice before I joined AgileBlue. I've got a lot of experience with small to medium-sized businesses and also on the enterprise side as well. Previous to doing vCISO services, I actually helped build and ran a penetration testing company for about 12 years. So I got a lot of experience kind of on the security operations side as well. And you'll see as a theme, as we talk through our vCISO services, some of the security operations is definitely part of that and how we build that into not only SOAR, but into the AgileBlue platform itself. You can see some of the objectives that we're looking at and that we have within this service. So whether you're looking at building a new program, either through cyber insurance requirements and or looking at maturing what's already in place, we've got a pretty compelling offering that, again, as Tony mentioned, this really is to augment and help build this service into the platform and the technology itself at AgileBlue. You know, a lot of those objectives that you see on the screen there, whether it be executive level visibility or pinpointing and resolving vulnerabilities and risks, all of those objectives are really built into this service. So when you look at the scope, you know, we can offer security maturity assessments. So based upon a particular controls assessment like NIST CSF, if you're familiar with the NIST framework. The ability to help you build out a 12-month security roadmap. And again, that really focuses on people, process, and technology. And then also security operations. So that's kind of a key area for us. So vulnerability scanning capabilities that we can offer. You can actually view those vulnerabilities within the platform itself. The ability to do penetration testing through a partner of ours. Firewall reviews, which I would recommend if you're not doing firewall reviews, that you take a look at, you know, some of the tools that are available to you and that you do those type of reviews on a 6-month basis. And then also just looking at different threat intel. You know, what are you looking at on a weekly or daily basis, and what types of decisions are you making on that threat intel? Also have the capability of helping if you have an external audit, whether it be like a SOC 2 or security questionnaires that you're receiving from your business partners. A lot of times what we can do is we can help narrow down the scope of those questionnaires so they don't look so daunting at first. And then last but not least, you know, one of kind of key areas here, the last 2 bullet points on the incident response plan and tabletop exercises. So whether you already have an incident response plan or you need one, we can help you review those or create it on your behalf. But more importantly, we're developing a partnership with the forensics team that can actually help backstop everything that we do with the platform, this service, our technology, such that you would have someone who can actually help jump in the event of an incident and actually help you recover, restore, and even negotiate with a threat actor. So I think that's really important feature to accentuate our ability to help, you know, not only identify through the alerts that come out of the platform, then also proactively get you in a place where we can have, you know, contracts in place and retainers, such that in the event we can, you know, all work together to help mitigate that risk for you and the impact to your business overall.
Thanks for that, Lee. That's great. And you ended at the right time because a question came in actually at the same time, which was nice to see. People are listening to you. They're just not, you know, eating their lunch right now, doing whatever. They're listening. So the question was, when it comes to cybersecurity insurance, everybody's freaked out by premiums, but probably even more freaked out by actually not getting renewed. So the question is, when you look at the right side of this slide, what are the couple things that need to be in place to make sure somebody gets renewed with their cyber policy? That's a great question.
That's an excellent question. So a lot of, I've worked with a number of clients to help them renew or obtain cyber insurance over the last 12 to 18 months. Number one requirement is MFA. If you don't have multi-factor authentication, it's kind of a hard stop right there. Logging and monitoring is the second one. Third one is vulnerability scanning and remediation of those vulnerabilities, desktop encryption, and some type of email filtering as well as a fifth. Now, a lot of the carriers have their own requirements, but I would say MFA, logging, monitoring, vulnerability scanning are the top three that you need to have in place. I'd also add that incident response plan. So, a lot of carriers and a lot of underwriters are looking for, how do you detect, how do you respond, and then more importantly, how do you recover from an actual incident? So hopefully that addressed the question.
He didn't say yay or nay, but I'm sure it did. And if he has any questions, he can follow up on that. To
Absolutely.
knock about 9 questions off in a row, we will be making this deck and the recording available. You'll get an email from Jillian, so she'll send this out. Obviously the lunch ticket too, if you didn't get that. So you'll get that follow up right when we're done sometime today or early tomorrow with both of those links, the link to the PowerPoint, the link to the recording. And then also, obviously there's a whole bunch of people on this thing. And we know you got many more people back at the office. If you guys want to do a one-on-one thing where we set up 30 minutes via Zoom, we go over this, we show you the technology a little bit deeper, you ask specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Tim and his team, and we'll be happy to set that up with you. It's not like you got to understand everything today and that's it. We're never talking to you again about this. Happy to do that. So keep that in mind if your team wants to dive a little bit deeper. Chris, you asked a question around the incident response service. Is it complimentary or an additional fee? So that's a great question, Chris. We have a couple different levels of Cerulean, depending, meaning of our subscription plan, depending on what our clients need. Not every client wants managed endpoint or vulnerability, right? So they want more SOC and that type of stuff, which is great. Whatever you want. It's not a one size fit all to work with AgileBlue. We figure it out. For the clients using the managed endpoint with our SOC and vulnerability, the IRP stuff is part of it. If it's not, it could be additional. So do me a favor, Chris, send us an email. We'll talk you through it. We'll figure it out what works best for you. Okay. Just going through these questions real quick. David, you asked a question that's a little confusing. So I want you to email me if you don't mind. You're asking for a map of rules for apps and sites that you can enter and block some apps and sites. I think I know what you're asking, but I don't want to just presume it, David, and then I don't follow up with you and you're like, Tony's a liar. So David, please send me an email on that and then we'll get that worked out with you. I just want to make sure I'm totally understanding what you're asking. And then Rich, the last question I have, there's a lot of questions, guys. Thank you for these. Rich, your question on what type of log ingress from firewalls do we offer? If you're asking about syslog, NetFlow, that type of stuff, or are you asking to get a little bit deeper based on maybe the type of firewall that you're using? Again, great questions, guys. I hope you don't think I'm being rude with my answer, but hope that answers a little bit. But if you want to dive deeper, again, maybe we can chat through it and just dive a little bit deeper into your question here so I can answer it, or one of our guys can answer it extraordinarily thoroughly for you. Rick, you just followed up. God, you gotta love technology. The answer to that's yes. Yes, we do. Those syslogs, Rick, are pretty standard. That's kind of like the table stakes of what we're reading off those firewalls. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But we appreciate what you put in so far. This is my personal email. That's my personal phone number. You can always reach out to me directly. Obviously, you have a great customer success team. Whoever you're working with on that team, always feel free to reach out to them. And then again, we will make this deck and the recording of this available. You'll get an email on that. And I think it will get through your spam filters because they're just links. If it doesn't and you don't get something by tomorrow, you tell me, I send it to you personally. That's the relationship we will have. All right. Any last questions I can answer? And if not, you guys have spent like 50 minutes with me this afternoon. I hope your lunch was good. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being a customer of AgileBlue. We appreciate the trust and know that every one of us work extraordinarily hard every day to mitigate your cyber risk. Have a great afternoon, everybody.